guys, welcome to book review number 70. Today I am going to be reviewing The Heart of the World, A Journey to the Last Secret Place by Ian Baker. I don't know if you can see that. Try the bottom. Well, anyway, this book is about Ian Baker's attempt to be the first person to discover the lost waterfalls of the Pimlico Gorge, often associated with Shangri-La, or sort of like a Himalayan paradise in the far reaches of the Himalayas. Now, how this book is split into three separate categories. The first is his attempt to get into the gorge via the mouth of the Tsangbo River, the Tsangbo being the river that actually runs through the Pimlico Gorge. Now about this gorge, I'm going to hold that. It's one of the deepest gorges in the world by the Guinness Book of World Records. There's two peaks, Namcha Barwa and Gaila Pelri. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. That I think are in the 21 to 22,000 foot range. So very, very 23,000 foot range, very tall mountains. And then the gorge from the mountain runs from about, I think about 10,000 feet in the inner part of the gorge to about about 10,000 feet to maybe about 8,000 feet. But then, like in the lower part of the gorge, sinks all the way down to almost sea level. I'd probably say 2,000 or 3,000 feet. Of course, that's relative. 2,000 or 3,000 feet to us is quite high, but relative to the gorge is very low. The other thing about this book, so in his first journey, he goes into the inner heart, if you will, or not the inner heart, but from the north via the Pimlico Monastery. Now, one of the reasons that he wants to find this is it's considered sort of like the Everest of rivers, or one of the last undiscovered places on Earth. But to do that, he has to, the first time he goes, he's unsuccessful getting in from the north. And part of it is because he feels like he doesn't have enough merit. This being him, and he's sort of the leader, but he also has a team that goes with him. Gillen Waters, Ken Storm. Just those are some of the names of the people. So rather than making another attempt into the gorge, he actually, the inner sanctum of the gorge, if you will, he goes to the lower gorge to kind of travel around there, specifically to go to a Buddhist monastery, or not a Buddhist monastery, a Buddhist holy place, which is a mountain that you can circumnavigate to gain karma, or whatever you want to call it. Kindu Dor Sim Po Trang. And this is the point that I realized that this guy is not merely an adventurer, but he's actually a pilgrim. And I'm actually kind of glad about the fact that he was the first person to penetrate this famous gorge and find ultimately the hidden waterfall, because his merit is truly there. He's not just some sort of like exploitational adventurer. He's actually a full-on Buddhist practitioner in the Tibetan tradition that really respects not only the geography, which is very isolating, or keeps people out of the inner gorge, but also the culture associated with it, and some, you could even say, like the spirituality that inhibits this place. The thing that kind of goes along with the gorge when it comes to spirituality is this idea of a beryl. And what these are their hidden places, i.e. the title. And in the Tibetan tradition, they're both a physical, geographic place, but also like a mental state. And there's some sort of interplay between those two. But Pimlico is considered like the greatest of these. And what it really is sort of a retreat into both the inner sanctum of Buddhahood or becoming enlightened. Now, not, you know, physically disassembling from the body, though. Actually, I think that actually happens a couple times. He does take some shrooms in this in this book, but you know, just being one, not in the conquering sense of like the Western idea, but becoming part of these places, seeing your physical body as an interaction between you and the place. You know, this is often why Buddhists don't kill things. As a little side note, there's a bunch of like deer-like creature, which I believe are called taken, that roam these gorges, and because it's viewed as so sacred, the hunters around here actually have no problem killing these animals. Sorry, got somebody talking behind me. They have no problem killing these animals because it's thought that when you're killed in these I'm sorry, when you're killed in these places, this guy talking. Sorry, when these taken are killed in these very spiritual gorges that their body, if done under right procedure, or their soul, if you will, not their body, their soul, immediately enters nirvana or the holy lands, just because of how holy this sacred gorge is. Other things. Yeah, so they do this circle around the famous mountain, gaining karma, gaining respect. And then the third part of the book is when they go back into the gorges, making multiple trips, but the ultimate trip to find the secret inner gorge. So let me get to the page on that. To find hidden falls, if you will. Now, in the inner gorge, there are three falls. There's Rainbow Falls, which is like the most outer falls, which has been viewed, but not from the face of it, only kind of like from the back or from when it goes over the edge. This being what Kingdom Ward, the famous explorer in the early 1900s, was able to discover before Tibet closed its doors, and then subsequently China shut Tibet's doors through their invasion of Tibet. And it's only in the late 80s, early 90s that the opportunity to see these gorges opens back up. The second fall being the famous Hidden Waterfall, which winds up being over 100 feet high, 108 feet, an actual spiritual or important number to the Tibetan people. And that's ultimately what Ian Baker finds. Now, towards the end of the book, he's in a race against time, against both a different American team that actually tried to whitewater raft the gorge, which wound up with the death of somebody in that expedition. That's kind of like secondary to the book itself. And then also a Chinese team that had a much larger expedition of like, I think it was like 50 people or something, that was trying to find the inner waterfall. Now the Chinese team eventually does, but not before Ian Baker and his team of, I think it's 4 to 5 outsiders, along with a number of hired porters from this area, find the hidden waterfall. You know, I feel that the Chinese kind of went in more in an exploitative case, and Ian Baker really went in trying to embrace the spirituality of the falls themselves. Let's see. I don't want to leave this too long. I will say there's a lot of history in this book about the Paminco Gorge, and really it's good because it's both accessible on sort of an adventure travel level, kind of the precipice and these cliffs and hills that you can fall off of, as well as some of the more basic Buddhist ideas, but also provides some insight into esoteric stuff, or stuff that people generally don't have knowledge about barrels and like just the complexity of the religious significance of this gorge in a very breathing kind of way for these local Mompa, those are the hunters, and that were also hired as the porters that inhabit this region. Yeah, and like I said, a lot of history too, a lot about Kingdom Scott Ward, about Francis Younghusband. These are all people that, like in the early 19th century, tried to find this. And I don't think I've really painted a picture of like not really what the falls are, though they turned out to be very beautiful, but what the falls mean in terms of the image of like this secret place, both to Westerners and to Tibetans, of this very beautiful Shangri-La, as I mentioned in the beginning, place at the beginning of the book. So anyway, I haven't done it complete justice, but I think I'm going to leave it at this. The Heart of the World, A Journey to the Last Secret Place by Ian Baker. It's a really good book, you guys. Maybe 400 pages, but engrossing. I'll say that. If I could use a... that doesn't describe the book, but how I responded to the book is that it's very engrossing. So anyway, see you guys. Bye. Maybe. Bye.